from the News Channel 5 network. This is Out and About Today. Sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Hello and welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. On tonight's show, Chuck sits down with Ty Herndon and previews his annual concert for love and acceptance happening in December. But first tonight, we open the show with our Buzz About segment. And the treat tonight is both Chuck and Brent are here in the studio with me. And it's been a long time coming.
Oh my gosh.
We have not sat down in years, right? All three of us.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys try to do shows without me and things like that, but we haven't. So it's good to see you both live and in person.
Same here. Yeah.
And I want to know, and so do our viewers, how the heck are you doing? So share something with us, if you can, please. And you were prepped for this.
So yes, we were prepped for this. Yes. You know, I think that it's great to be back in person, to be working together on this. I have been following, and I guess what's been on my mind lately is just, and this is something that we'll be talking about in the coming year, has just been the situation that we find ourselves in with country music and how it's treating, and some people in there, the LGBTQIA community. You know, we had Jason Aldean's wife, Brittany, you know, make a statement that, you know, offended the LGBTQIA plus community. And it's been the reactions from others in the country community that have really been on my mind. And I've been following some of our friends that have been covering it as well. I know it's kind of a heavy conversation.
It is. Were you offended?
Yes, by Brittany's, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was very pleased with Maren Morris for the way that she stood up and spoke out, and as well as Cassidy Pope. And so that's something that I'm watching as it evolves, and it continues to evolve.
Well, and sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. It takes a step back or some aggravation, right, to take steps forward.
Yeah.
How do you like that spin?
I like that. I'll go with that.
Brent, what can you share?
Well, 2022 has been fine, I suppose, overall. There's been some ups and downs for me personally, but to Chuck's point, I've been thinking a lot about, as we've seen this year unfold, how as we rolled into the midterms, which as we're taping this, they haven't happened yet, but as you're watching this, they have, and just sort of refocusing on us again. You know, we talked about for a number of years there, for a while, that maybe we weren't the pariah we once were, we weren't attacked as frequently, and we've seen that ebb and flow back to being sort of a focus again, especially our trans members of the community. And so just sort of seeing that happen in real time again, and seeing the focus be on that, and some of the just ridiculous things that have been thrown out, and some of the crazy really just propaganda that's been spun against us again, is really just sort of disheartening. But to your point, to your spin rather, you know, 2 steps forward, 3 back, 2 more forward. It's the nature of the beast, and we're still here. So I mean, at the end of the day, we're still kicking. So I guess that's the lesson, right? Just keep moving.
Yeah, keep on keeping. Well, you two are thinkers, if you will. I am about to enter my 9th year with my daughter.
Congratulations.
And so I'm not as with it as you two. And we're going to talk about that a little later in the show.
Okay.
But let's talk about a couple of hot topics.
Sure.
Next month, December 1, is World AIDS Day. We're going to celebrate here in Nashville. I'm going to talk about an event that Nashville Cares is producing. And this day has been around since 1988. But I want to ask you two, I had forgotten it was coming up. 10 years ago, for sure, I would have been at a big ordeal down at the community center. With things like PrEP, the Music City PrEP Clinic, in our community, is AIDS kind of in the background? I'm just wondering, have you seen it evolved into something different? And I'm not trying to diminish this great event that Nashville Care is putting on December 1st. What do you think, Brent?
Yes, I mean, the short answer is yes. I mean, we've seen it evolve. We've seen the whole thing. I mean, we were alive in the beginning. We saw it. We saw where it went, where we're at now. And I do think, and we've even talked about this on the show before, that there's a different perception now about either being positive or being around, you know, how easy or not easy it is to catch the virus, and just sort of the way in which people view it at a younger age. I think I remember we had Zach on, Woodard was with us one time when we were talking about it, and he, went so far as to say it's sort of just perceived among sort of younger generations as I've got diabetes, and you treat it and you move on, right? And so that's kind of the same mentality, I think, now that we've seen, which was not the case, even 10 years ago, where people were even sort of less likely to admit that they might even have it. I think the laws have even been changed to remove it as being a felony for not, divulging that you have it to a partner. So, I mean, those types of changes, have happened fairly recently. The portrayal of people in the media and in the world as far as being positive or not, it's kind of become a manageable disease in a way. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not still deadly, and we shouldn't, like you said, still have memories and all the people that it took to get us here, the lives that were lost, and the research and the funding and whatnot. But it is, in my view, quite a different visual than it was when it was the gay cancer in the 80s, and it was just a horrible death sentence.
Right, for sure. Chuck, what are your thoughts?
Interesting, because I was in a group recently thinking, kind of what you were saying. It is a lot in the rearview mirror. But with some younger people in this group, they said that since COVID and, the whole way that attacked the entire world, and then we had monkeypox, and then that came up, that they said that they have concerns that something like an AIDS or something like that could happen, could break out. And I just found that very fascinating and very interesting that kind of where we are now, AIDS, yes, we've come so far in the way that we look at it and the way that we deal with it, but these were Belmont students, and that they would think that there is still cause for concern that something like that could come again.
Interesting.
Probably met with a different, maybe action-oriented, not as much fear, although maybe you're talking fear, I don't know.
Well, no, they seem to, I think, be more proactive, that if something came up and they were like, okay, you got to be careful, you've got to get a vaccine, you've got to take all the precautions that you need to, they were just thinking and talking like that.
Well, that kind of makes me think of the whole monkeypox rise and how certain folks within the community said, we're just going to abstain until that's done. And essentially, nobody's going to save us. We've learned that, right? So we have to save ourselves. And so I think that generation has even learned that harder than we have in many ways. So they're willing to put in the work.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So more information, it's a breakfast on December 1st. You can go to NashvilleCares.org. It's at the Country Music Hall of Fame, and Ryan White's mother will be a keynote speaker for World AIDS Day. I think we have time for one more topic. Lipstick Lounge celebrated 20 years a couple weekends ago. I mean, we're not old enough to have been going to that bar for 20 years.
But we heard about it.
We heard about it. I read about it.
I remember reading about it in my middle school paper.
The Nashville scene just did their best of, and they were voted best gay bar. I just wanted to send out a shout out, accolades. Do you guys have any words of congratulation, Nature?
I think it's great.
I think it's wonderful too. I mean, it's such a welcoming bar, and the karaoke, I think they won best karaoke bar again. I mean, there's so many people that go there that outside of the community. It's so much more than just the best gay bar.
Right. It's a bar for humans, and it's in our gay neighborhood.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. When we come back, Out and About Today has a special ask of you, the viewer. Stay with us.